One of these cost $129, one of them cost $99, and 4 of them cost about $25. Can you tell which is which? Hey internet, Harris here. So pretty much every iPad that's out now, in fact every iPad that's out now, supports the Apple Pencil, but not just the Apple Pencil, but also third-party Styli. So that means the iPad mini, the budget iPad, $329, the iPad Air that's coming out in just a month, and the old iPad Air as well, and then the newer iPad Pro models. They all support Apple Pencil, and all the new ones also support the cheap third-party Styli. So in this video, we're going to talk about whether you need to spend $130 or $100, depending on if you're getting the second generation or first generation Apple Pencil, or whether you can spend between $20 and $30 and get a knockoff that functions very similarly. So let's just say that you already spent $1,000 on an iPad and you don't want to spend another $130, or let's say you only spent $300 on your iPad and you don't feel like spending a third of that again just on a pencil. These are the type of options that you can get. Now first, I just want to say that Logitech does have a really solid option for around $70, and that's a really good stylus. It's pretty bulky and fairly rugged, and it works well, but all of these cheaper ones have very, very similar performance, maybe not quite as good performance, but much cheaper. So we're going to see if those options might be good for you, but the Logitech Crayon is also a good slightly budget option. Now just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to call these Styli Stylus 1 through Stylus 6, just so it's easy to find them in the description and we don't get confused because they all look the same and the brand names aren't notable. And this video is presented by Paper-Like screen protectors for your iPad, a fantastic accessory to go along with your stylus. Here's a chart of devices that are supported by these third-party Styli, and also includes the iPad 8th Gen and iPad Air 4 that came out this year. Now Stylus 1 through 3 are all going to be great for the iPad Pro and the new iPad Air that's coming out in October. And that's because they all have magnets on the side. That means you can attach it to the top of your iPad just like the Apple Pencil 2. It won't charge it, but it's great for securing it and attaching it and just keeping it around. So Stylus 1 is the one that I wanted to be the one. So it has the Apple Pencil design, and it basically feels like a much lighter, slightly cheaper version of the Apple Pencil 2. And that's really what it looks like. And it's got a very similar tip up top. It's a little bit softer and kind of less precise than Apple's, but not notably. It's not a huge difference. And it also charges via USB-C, which is going to be great for the new iPad Air and iPad Pro users that are already charging their iPads via USB-C. So I was really hoping this one would be the one. And it actually works really well, and I thought it could be the one until the mechanism for turning it on and off up top is this little touch sensor that is so sensitive. You brush it against a sleeve or a table or an elbow or anything like that, it's going to turn it off. Of course, it's very easy to turn back on, so it's not necessarily a deal breaker, and it still has really good reviews on Amazon. But just something to note, probably the best one on this list has the biggest downside of being a very annoying on and off button, but it does attach magnetically to the iPad and it does have really good battery life. So USB-C and a really cool design makes number 1 a pretty solid option. Number 2, this one's a little bit simpler. So it's got a similar design. It's still got the flat edge on it like the Apple Pencil 2 has, which makes it pretty comfortable to write. The tip is a bit softer and more spongy, so more like a ballpoint pen compared to the previous one and compared to the Apple Pencil 2. Just a little bit softer, and some people might like that. Either way, it's not a huge deal. The top of it is flat and it has a micro USB charging port, which isn't amazing, but you're also not going to be charging this too often, so you kind of got to balance that there. And then the on and off button is very simple. It's on the side, easy to press, and you won't accidentally press it. So this one's pretty good. I really don't have any issues with it. It works well, and I would just call this a pretty safe option. So option number 3 is really interesting. So again, it has the magnet, so it does attach to the iPad Pro, although it's hard to tell where the magnet is because the whole design and the whole barrel has basically flat edges. So it's a bunch of flat edges. What kind of shape is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What, a hexagon? So this is like a weird hybrid between the Apple Pencil 1 and the Apple Pencil 2. So it takes the kind of the size and the shape and the feel more of the Apple Pencil 2, but it has the glossy texture of the Apple Pencil 1, which I don't think anybody was missing, but here it is. It's got a glossy finish, not the best. And then up top, it has a button on and off, very easy to click. And the tip for this is actually the same as the Apple Pencil. So I could take my Apple Pencil 2 tip off, put it on this stylus, and it works. Now, I think Apple's might have felt a little bit nicer. Not totally sure, but it's a pretty similar experience. And so if you're looking for something that's just going to emulate an Apple Pencil, this guy will do it. Now, this all sounds great, but it does have one annoying feature. The charger up top is not USB-C, nor is it micro USB. It has its own proprietary charger, which is just annoying that they would do that. Like, how dare they do that? So that's just something to note. Again, the battery life on this is going to be really good, so you're not going to have to charge it too often. Not a deal breaker, but just annoying that they did that. It's also worth noting that this is the only stylus on this list, as far as I can tell, that does support tilt shading. So if you angle it, you can get different textures and thickness. So coming in next, number 4, stylus number 4, does not have a magnet. So it's going to be better for like the iPad mini, all the non-pro and new iPad Air models that don't have the magnet. But I really like this. So this has the most fine tip of all of them. It feels kind of like a 0.3 or 0.5 equivalent if I'm writing with a pen on paper. I personally really like it. It doesn't really change the stroke. It doesn't really change the actual writing experience, but just kind of the sensation when you're writing. So I like that, and I do like more fine tip pens in general, so that's something to note. And it's also hefty. Like, it's a little bit heavier than the Apple Pencil 2, so it feels really sturdy. I like that. It has a physical button up top for turning it on and off, so no issues there, and then micro USB on the side. So I really like this one. It feels super solid. It just sadly does not have the magnet, so I just don't feel like losing this when I'm using my iPad Pro for notes. But there is that. Stylus number 5, I actually lost it, but I can tell you about it. So it's got a cap up top, so it does kind of feel like the Apple Pencil first generation in that regard. So that's kind of cool. And up top, it also doubles as another stylus. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you'd want to use that, but there it is. It's tall and it's lengthy, so it's, again, like the Apple Pencil 1. It writes fine, charges via micro USB up top, and the port is hidden behind or under the cap, so that's kind of nice. It's a good stylus, no bells and whistles, but it does get the job done. It has an easy to press button on the side. So again, a good option if you don't have an iPad Pro and you want something that kind of works like the original Apple Pencil. Before we get to number 6, if you're using a stylus with your iPad, you want to both protect your screen from scratches, but also add a premium matte gritty texture to the display. Paper-like 2.0 screen protectors take away fingerprints, disperse glare, and give you a super intimate writing experience with your iPad. And I always have a paper-like screen protector on my iPad. I'll leave a link in the description, and they are the sponsor of this episode. And lastly, number 6, I got this one just because, actually I don't know why I got it. So it's obviously gray, kind of a graphite color, and it's really small and compact, so I do like that because it's just going to fit in a pocket. It has a cap up top kind of that looks like it would click in, but it doesn't move, which is really disappointing because I wish that it clicked. That'd be awesome. Physical button up top for turning it on and off, so that's nice. Micro USB, and just small and kind of like a cylinder, and aluminum, so like my ring kind of scratches against it a little bit, not a big deal. But the thing about this is that it's got a really rough tip up top, so I feel like I'm scratching my iPad when I'm writing with it. It's a really cool sensation because it's got a really great sound. I would definitely recommend a screen protector if you are using this. But yeah, so those are some great options and third-party styli for your iPad. They're all around $20 to $35. None of them are perfect, but they all work well enough. With all of these, you are missing some of the high precision and low latency that you're going to get with Apple's solutions. But honestly, if you're using something like the iPad budget that doesn't have a laminated display, the writing experience with even Apple's own pencil is not amazing. So using a much cheaper third-party one is not going to be a deal breaker by any means. If you're using the iPad Pro, you're going to notice the difference more if you're using one of these cheaper ones because it has a ProMotion display and a laminated display. So that might make more sense to get Apple's own option or maybe the Logitech Crayon. There is that, and you're also missing the tilt and the pressure with all of these, which I don't really use, but some people might. And if you're a digital artist or somebody who really wants the best experience, you should probably just shell out the money for a nicer stylus. But for the average run-of-the-mill user, just the average student, the average person who maybe wants to try out a stylus without splurging on Apple's prices, these are all really good options, and I've used them for many a class lecture without any real issues. Let me know your thoughts on this video. I'll leave links to everything down in the description, of course, and thank you very much for watching.